Welcome YouTube, welcome Twitch. How are you all doing? I hope you're having a great time. Today we're gonna do a submarine guide. How to play submarines, because I feel like there's a lot of individuals who don't understand how they work, which submarines to play and which you shouldn't play. First of all, I'm gonna make it very easy. We have 3 nations in the game. We have German submarines, we have American submarines, and we have British submarines. I'm gonna exclude premium submarines here, because they are having different rules in a way that they work a bit differently, and they're not really like the counterparts. That's why I will exclude Gato, S189, I-56, and Alliance from this whole submarine guide now. First of all, we have the Americans, we have the Germans, and we have the British submarines. One easy thing to summarize is don't play the British submarines. They are by far the worst out of the 3, and they bring nothing to the table that would make them better than the German or American counterparts. British submarines have no conventional torps. They have only
Sublord Ivan is my master, just
They have
subscribed.
only homing torps. Thank you so much, Arctic Builder, for the gifted sub to Sublord Ivan. Appreciate it. Penetrator, welcome back to the UF army. Laurio, thank you for the
Lariah
sub as
just
well.
subscribed.
Good. Pressure sucks. Pressure sucks. Completely. Why do British submarines suck, you ask yourself? There's multiple reasons. Concealment is pretty bad. 6.1 in comparison to the German 5.6 or 5.9 of the American on tier 10. That goes for the whole line. The only thing where British submarines excel is the dive capacity. The problem with that is that the dive capacity, while it is the longest with over 5 minutes, or 6 minutes even, let me see. Yeah, over 6 minutes. It has a very slow recharge rate, which means when you're above the water, you will recharge quite slowly your battery, if you do way faster with the German and the American submarine. But you also have the weakest torpedoes in a way that you have only the homing ones, which do barely more than 7.8k damage. You do reload quite quickly, but you don't load all your torpedo tubes. You have 8 in the front and 3 in the back. You load only 4 at a time though in the front. The ship is also very slow underwater, what people tend to forget. Yeah, maximum submerged speed is 18.9 knots, and it's very clumsy to handle. You don't have damage output with the British submarines. You don't have speed underwater, and you don't have good concealment. Again, the only technically good thing is that you have a massive 8 torpedo salvo, which does not a lot of damage, unfortunately. And you have, to an extent, a bit better homing than the other ones. But all of these things don't matter, because you're an easy prey for enemy submarines. You have only 6 km submarine surveillance, which is by far one of the most important things. And while you can dive the longest, you're very slow. Like you, for example, has a battery capacity of 280. You can extend it by 60 seconds with 2 consumables, but that's a different story. But it moves the same speed.
How are you? I am
above
under
the water.
Please help me. Here too much raining.
Thank you, Jaywalk. It moves the same speed above the water, below the water, and on periscope depth. Pressure only moves at maximum speed above the water and on periscope depth. Below water, it moves only 80 knots. So technically, while you have more time underwater, you cannot go nearly the distance of a U player if you would stay the whole time underwater. They are not nimble at all. Again, they have only one good thing, and that's dive capacity, and even that is not an argument to go for them. So you should not play the British submarines. They are by far the worst. Now, I recommend the German submarines. Why do I recommend the German submarines? They have the best submarine surveillance. The way submarine surveillance work is that you detect submarines that are on periscope depth or underwater. You have 9 cam, the Americans and the British only have 6 cam. Which means in theory, as long as the submarine is under the water and you're in 9 cam range, and you press this button, you will see him. As long as you with the U are not at 6 cam or closer and he activates his submarine surveillance, he won't see you. So basically you have a 3 kilometer gap of seeing them while they can't see you. Which is very, very strong. Not necessarily because you're gonna kill them with your own torpedoes, but you have an insane spotting advantage that your team can utilize, and especially your BB players snip back with the AISW. So you have a way easier time outplaying submarines of the US or the British. Which is my main reason why I would recommend you playing the German ones as a beginner. They're the best currently in the game in my opinion. Now, Belau has it going for it that it is very nimble and still pretty fast submerged, which is pretty nice as well. And you overall have torpedoes an advantage over the U because you have torpedoes in the back and the front. You don't load all at the same time, but you do have torps to the front and back, which means in an engagement or in a shotgun move, if you shotgun a target and you're not getting spotted, you go down, you go up again, and you shoot him again if he survives with your back torpedoes, which can be very effective. The U has only, at least the tier 10, the lower ones have also torps in the back, but the tier 10 has only torpedoes in the front. The advantage of the U though is that you have 6 torpedoes simultaneously loaded. What a lot of people don't know is British and American submarines don't load all their torpedo tubes at once. They have a specific amount of loaders. The German one has 6 loaders, so it will reload all torpedoes at the same time. The Belau has only 2 loaders. While it has 10 torpedoes, it has 2 loaders in the front and 2 loaders in the back. That means while 34-second reload time looks very short, you need to put it twice up or in the front 3 times, which would mean 34 plus 34 is 86, plus another 34 is 102 seconds until all your 6 torpedo tubes are loaded. You need to see it like this. Now another advantage over the Belau over the U is the fact that the non-homing torpedoes, the conventional ones, have 10 km range and do 15k damage. That is more than U, but on the other hand, on U, your homing torpedoes are better with 14 km range. Wait, I said 86? I mean 68. I'm sorry. I thought I said 68. Of course I mean 68, Jabberwock, not 86. Guys, I'm sorry. Apparently I said 86. I meant 68. And 102 afterwards. Sorry. The beer is taking effect. Yeah, I drank a beer. Anyway. So, you got the rough idea how it works with the loaders and so on. And now I'm gonna go through the consumable. These two. These ones are nation specific and not really taken into account. We're gonna look at the most important ones. Again, submarine surveillance, I explained how it works. You can only spot submarines that are on periscope depth or below the water. So, or underwater. If a submarine is above the water, submarine surveillance will not work. I need to say that because a lot of people don't understand how it works or they don't want to read through it. Submarine surveillance works only if the submarine is not on the surface completely. That means no matter if you have 9 km range of spotting a submarine, if he is above the water, you will not spot him unless you're a normal spotting range to him. Submarine surveillance only works under the water or periscope depth, which is also under the water, but you know what I mean. Now, we have hydrophone. Hydrophone works quite similar, but it's not the same. The hydrophone spots everything that is on periscope depth or above the water, but it won't spot it actively like the surveillance, only on the minimap. If you're a battleship player nearby and your submarine spots something with a hydrophone, which you can only see by suddenly a submarine appearing on a minimap, you can use it to drop already charges without the enemy submarine knowing. There's one dumb thing in this game, and I don't like it, but it is currently in the game. If you are hydrophoned, you don't know it. There is no indication for destroyer, battleship, submarine, nobody, if you're hydrophoned or not. The only indication could be that suddenly, if you're a submarine, suddenly an enemy drops a charge to your direction without you have ever been spotted. So it works in a way that you don't know if you're affected by it or you affect the enemy. They don't know it. They have no idea that they are currently hydrophoned. The way how you counter it is you go at 30 meters or below and you cannot get hydrophoned. It's pretty much the opposite of the surveillance. It works above the water while the surveillance works under the water. These two consumables you have on the U, on the below, and on the fresher. On the fresher you don't even have it unlimited times. You have it on the below and U unlimited times, while you have only 7 hydrophones on the fresher. That's terrible, I didn't even know that. But you do have unlimited submarine surveillance. Okay. On the Gato and on the below and you have it unlimited times. Another reason why you shouldn't play the British, by the way. And I will demonstrate you now. I'm gonna play a U game and demonstrate you how you should play a submarine and what you need to pay attention to. And how you like maximize your output. With the U, you have multiple ways of dealing with submarines. And I would recommend you, if you are an American submarine or British, again, you should not play the British submarines. But if you are in a non-German submarine on T10, you should play it very careful against the German submarine. Because again, it has that 3 km extra range on the surveillance, which is very hard for you to counter. You gotta be always aware of it. You need to have team support to deal with it. So I recommend you, if you know the enemy submarine player is a very good player, which you don't usually always know unless you know the name in general, but you should always play careful, because you should always expect, I know most submarine players are very terrible. They're very bad. They don't even know how the consumables work. But you should always expect the one submarine player you are facing, that he is one that understands how it works. And then you should treat a U player with respect in a way that you should not YOLO in and try to kill him. Because if he knows what he does, he's at a big advantage over your American submarine, for example. So be careful if you're new. If you're in the U and the enemy is new, you can take the fight pretty easily, but you can take it. It's a fair fight. Always, if you want to go for a submarine with submarine surveillance, always check the environment. If his submarine is surrounded by, let's say, 3 battleships nearby, don't risk it. If you hydrophone him and you are below the water, he will definitely, on most circumstances, will hydrophone you as well. And then you can be toast, because the battleship players, most of them at least, will spam the living bejesus out of their ASW. I know there's a lot of battleships players who don't do it, and I will never understand why, but you should always think about it, that they will start spamming the ASW again. Now, looking at this battle, we have the same submarine against us. Usually submarines are always mirrored. So in a way, I'm starting on the right flank here. That will mean that the submarine also spawned here, and there's gonna be probably interaction between us. Now, we have 2 battleships, we have a Yodo, and we have an Östergötland. I don't know, I think, does Yodo get ASW chat? I'm not sure. Schlieffen and Monty do, and it's a very effective tool. I'm not sure about Yodo. Does Yodo get ASW or ship-based ASW? Yeah, that's not an answer, guys. Airstrikes. Okay, good. Okay, good. So we have 3 potential ships that can deal quite well with the enemy submarine. What we're gonna do now is, our torps are reloaded. What I tend to do is, I'm gonna launch a set already into this cap. We have such a fast torpedo reload that we can just leave this. We don't need to ping. You don't need to ping, by the way, homing torpedoes. They will just work like conventional torps, hitting something. So if we don't make them ping and somebody is getting hit by it, it will be still like a normal torpedo. Now what I tend to do is, at the beginning of the game is, I'm gonna go down the water, and I'm gonna check now, with the hydrophone, if there's gonna be a DD player, closing it to the cap, or the submarine. That's a standard play by me, because if I go into the cap right now, chances that a random BB player could drop an ASW charge just to check if it's me, it's not that low. Currently nobody's interested into going towards the cap, which is very good for us. But now you see it. There we go. You saw how the hydrophone works, Chad? The Lana and you have been spotted. I can ping now to you and hope that the Schlieffen player, for example, might go for an ASW drop. I'm not expecting it because it's a random mate. But there could be, like the U is exactly here now. We know it because the cap just flipped. If I would be the Schlieffen player and I would have seen it, I would definitely drop ASW now. Just to give him already a little experience what could happen. Now, he's probably hydrophoning me as well. I have no clue, unless suddenly the Zuma drops a charge here nearby. Good. We're gonna see if we can block the Lana. Also, you went down the water because we're not capping anymore. We're gonna go up here. Pedro could raid us, but he did already. How do I know? Oh, the Lana is pushing us, okay. I did not expect Lana being pushing us like this. That's a very risky move by him. Is he still gonna push? Oh, he's still gonna push, really? Okay, that was very bad. We're still gonna ping him to force a damage con. Good, he damage con. We're gonna go down here. The team can shoot him still. I did not expect the Delana player to be this ballsy because it's not gonna be very good for him. No, I don't want to go up. I did a mistake here. I didn't want to go up. That's something I didn't want to do right now. We're gonna damage con the ping. He's gonna drop charges soon again. And there's ASW, yeah. Well, that's a lot of ASW on me right now. Good, there we go. We lost a lot of HP because the DD tried to YOLO us, which he costed with his life. We need to hope that we survive the Zuma salvo though now. Good, we do. That was not a good play by the Lana because he threw his ship away. And if I wouldn't have made that dumb mistake, he would have actually had way more HP left. Good. I'm gonna spot the enemy U with the submarine radar now. And our Monty can drop him with charges and Yodo. He can't spot me because we're above the water now. But yeah, this was a bit unfortunate. Again, there was a very bad play by him rushing us down like this. Because you usually die when you do it. Now he's trying to detect me, but he can't see me. You see, he's also activating it. I know it here in detection range. But there's no way he can use it effectively against me right now. Because, again, we are below the water. Now, of course, he could go up completely, but I hope by the time he does, he's gonna be dead, so we can go down. Is he gonna be gone? Yep. Nice. Now he's dead. Now I'm gonna go down. Those drops are too late to home. You gotta be very careful that the Zuma is not suddenly drop a charge on us. But now we pretty much dealt with the enemy submarine without losing HP to him. This is what I mean. You need to be very careful where you're going if you know the submarine is here. Izumo can't see behind the mountain effectively, so I'm just gonna ping now the Pedro. Pedro doesn't have the ASW range, he has 8 km. And we try to get a double ping. I mean, one ping will also be enough if he keeps reversing like this, but still. Gotta be careful here. We can go up and save ourselves some oxygen, aka battery. Good, those torps will hit the Pedro. Anti-damage con, so if this is gonna be a flooding, that would be beautiful. Or a kill. We'll take it as well.
Wir haben einen gegnerischen Kreuzer versenkt. That was a great battle.
Good. Pedro's gone now. We're gonna turn around and gonna deal with the Zuma. What we're gonna do here is really important against the Zuma player. Okay, wait a second. Planes. Planes are very dangerous. As long as you're periscope depth, they can spot you. So what you're gonna do is you wanna go on 30 meters. Or at least below than periscope depth. Otherwise you can get spotted by them. You're gonna get spotted at 2 km, I think is... No, 2.1 by air. Okay. I'm gonna launch some torps here. In case Izumo goes forward. If Izumo doesn't goes forward, it doesn't matter. Ah, he dies. Perfect. Even better. We're gonna ping the Delaware. We're still out of ASW range of the Delaware. That's very good for us. If he keeps pushing in like this, our torpedoes might have a chance of hitting him. Now, I'm not gonna ping again because it's too risky at the moment to do so. But it looks pretty promising. I should have pinged him a bit more in the middle if I could have the choice now. But it should still work if he doesn't adjust the course. Right on the nose. Beautiful, yeah. Good, we're gonna help with the cap. I'm gonna go hard right turn as soon as we cap, so he doesn't have a chance to strike us. We're gonna go down here. And with the help of all the other torpedoes, he's gone. Of my mates, yeah, he's gone. Beautiful. We're gonna go down for safety reasons though, because his planes can still strike me. And then we had a pretty successful game here. Again, it was a bit unlucky that I did this one mistake while the Lana YOLO'd. But we still made it out alive. Even though the Zuma was pretty decent when it comes to ASW predictions. So this is pretty much how you play Submarine. you wanna be very careful with when to ping, or if you ping, and you also wanna know the ranges of ASW and so on. Most BBs, with some exceptions, will have on higher tiers 11 km range. That is technically not true. It's technically more like 12 because you can drop quite behind 11 km with the square you get there. Most cruisers will have 8 km. And DDs obviously will have ship-based ASW. I can ping here, you know, unless he shoots me blindly, of course, which can also happen. Should not be really a big danger for me. One tip you can also do if you drop charges like this, pings like this, you can wait until they shoot, because it usually means they're in gunner's view and they will have pay no attention to it. Also, that's a kill. Beautiful.
Gegnerischer Kreuzer versenkt.
And GG. Now we got a devastating strike and 2 kills. And dealt a pretty decent amount of damage on this side. Again, you want to not get sub-surveilled. You don't want to be near a lot of enemy BBs if they're in range. And you especially don't want to ping if you're surrounded by BBs. Or if they're all in range. Because they will, or you should always expect them to, drop a lot of charges on you. And there we go. Second in the team. Well done to Admiral Talbot, you get a compliment. But this is basically how you can play a submarine very effectively. Now, it could have been more damage, it could have been less damage. Sometimes you're running after damage, just like any class. Because people just want to play on A line or on whatever the bottom line is, H line, whatever, and don't participate in the battle. Then you have the same problem as a lot of torpedo DDs, you don't get any damage up. Now, before I close this up here, I will go to the captain. How should you skill a submarine captain? We're gonna first go with the modules, but the modules are quite easy because you focus on torpedoes. The game lets me go to equipment. So basically what you want to do is, you want to main armaments 1, so your torpedo tubes don't get broken as much. You want to go engine room protection. For the third slot, you want to go torpedo tubes modification. You don't really need to go recharge rate per second, because if you know how to play, you will get used to it. You have more than enough oxygen, aka battery, to play with, so you don't really need this. I rather have faster torpedoes, so they can react shorter on it. Propulsion mod, just I like it on most of my other ships and prefer over rudder shift. You want to be able to accelerate very quickly. Here you want to go steering gears, because consumable action time is okay, but you don't really need it. Torpedo acquisition is not gonna help you. If you are getting pinged by a submarine and you cannot get rid of the ping, it will hit you most likely, so this is just a garbage thing to take. You want to either go consumable action, which you don't really need in my opinion, and rather have submarine steering gears, so you're more nimble. And last but not least, torpedo reload is a no-brainer. You want to maximize your torpedo DPM, aka your torpedo volley damage. By fast you can shoot them all over the place, so torpedo reload. Now the captain is a different thing. The captain is gonna be very interesting now. First of all, on the first slot, I would go chances of causing flooding. It helps quite a lot getting more floods. You don't need pings cooldown, sonar cooldown, because you can shoot the sonar anyway pretty fast. And if you know how to aim, you will get used to it. You don't need it. You don't need this one, because this helmsman only gets triggered when you are activating a hydrophone consumable. It doesn't get triggered normally. Really important, read the lines below the skill so you know what it needs. This is not always. This is only triggered for 15 seconds if you have a hydrophone active. Priority target you don't need to. It's one of the only classes where you don't need priority target, because you can be damn sure if you are spotted, they will go for you. People hate submarines just like they hate CVs or the Sashi or whatever. They will focus you down to get you rid of you. No matter who you are, a spotted submarine should always be a priority target, because then it did the mistake of getting spotted and you can smash it. Incoming fire alert, I'm not a big fan either. You don't really need it. Now, improved battery capacity, 10% more, but the recharge rate is slower. You don't really need it, as I said. If you manage your battery very well, you don't need more recharge rate or dive capacity. I would take this, however, on ships with a high recharge rate, because then you can get it even higher. On a low one, it doesn't really make a big difference. Now, torpedo reload time reduced if you're spotted, not really a thing. If you're spotted, you have way different problems than having faster torpedo reloads. Now, these are the recommended skills I would go through. Consumable enchantments are always nice. Having longer consumable action time is pretty nice. Having a faster reload on the submarine surveillance and hydrophone is also very, very important and good. And now to the most broken and busted skill in the entire game, in my opinion. Watchful. Watchful is the absolute no-brainer for every submarine. Watchful saves from radar, from hydro and submarine surveillance. What does it do? Basically, the skill shows you that in case, for example, what happened in the last game, if the submarine triggers submarine surveillance and he's in range and you're above the water, you get this this icon, this, how do you call it? Not exclamation mark. Yeah, exclamation mark. You get this exclamation mark blinking. It tells you he's using it right now. If you go down the water, you will get spotted. So it's insanely powerful. Now, at the beginning of the game, it also blinked. And I know instantly Petropavlov's was gradering. If I would not be on periscope depth, but above the water, I would have been radared. This gives you so much utility. It also works against Hydro. Hydro spots you on max range, surface and periscope depth. So a GK Hydro will spot you at 6 km. Now, if I'm closing in on a GK and go for a shotgun move, what I tend to do is I go on 30 meters, and then if we are within 6 km, if Watchful triggers, I know he has Hydro active. I know it. And this information is so brutally strong that it is an absolute no-brainer on whatever sub you play. It gives you so much information that you can utilize for your own strength then. And it's by far one of the best captain skills, if not an absolutely broken one, in this game. Because for 3 points, you get an insane amount of information that you can play with. So if you want to play Submarines, get Watchful. It's so broken. I'm not even joking. It's an absolutely broken captain skill. Will it ever be changed? Maybe, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised in a way that it is broken. It just gives you so much information, it's not even funny. And now to the last ones. Adrenaline Rush should be clear. If you get damaged, it's always one of the best. I mean, technically you don't want to get damaged at all. But if you do, and you will survive it, you get a permanent better torpedo reload. So it's always a nice thing to have. Then here, increases the dive capacity of a submarine research rate if it's less than 50%. This one is very good if you did dive quite a lot and your battery is below 50% and then you can go up again, it will recharge way quicker. So that's a very strong skill. I would also recommend a no-brainer. And last but not least, enlarged propeller shaft. It's also getting triggered if your battery is less than 50%. What it does is it gives your submarine an 18% speed boost on surface and periscope depth. Remember, this does not work on deep water, 30 meters, 60 meters and so on. It only works, you only get the buff on periscope depth and above the water. And having an 80% speed boost is pretty strong. So these 4 skills these skills here are by far the strongest, and Watchful, enhanced propeller shaft, shaft, Adrenaline Rush and improved battery efficiency are no-brainers. You should always take them. They are fantastic, they're very strong, and again, Watchful is the most broken captain skill in my opinion in this entire game. It just gives you so much information. So to summarize it, I would recommend starting with the German submarines because of the best submarine surveillance, and later on the U drives the same speed no matter where it is. That's not the case for the lower tier German ones, but still, having the good submarine surveillance is very strong.
Hello there.
And don't go for the British ones. I hope you enjoyed this little guide and it gave you some ideas of how to play with submarines, what you should really pay attention to, how to counter certain things. And I would love if you could comment, like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, of course. Have a good time. I wish you everything only the best, my friends. And bye-bye.